All right, we're recording. So, hey everybody, thanks for coming to my channel. And I have a special guest. This is going to be a new thing that I have going on. I'm going to call this segment Seabees Back on the Map because nobody knows what a CB is. Every single time I ask somebody or tell somebody that I'm a CB, they say, "Oh, what's that?" Or I had a mentor or somebody who I looked up to who told me that women don't want a cartoon character when he looked up what a CB was. And this gentleman was a Canadian. So I'm trying to change that. And I would like to introduce my friend, my former colleague, CM3, Matt Cassidy.
That's me. That's me right here.
How you doing, bro?
We've been all right. Yourself?
Just got back from the gym. Today's the CB ball. So, you know,
Classic.
just gonna have a great night tonight.
Oh, yeah, that's an understatement.
So why don't you start off by introducing yourself? Tell the audience where you're from and why you joined the Navy Seabees.
Gotcha. So my name's Matt, but I guess if we're going with military, a former CM3 Cassidy. Worked my way up. I worked my way up, but it was definitely one of more of my passions, I guess, and my interests just before, during high school that I was interested in the military. And I've had, I wouldn't say a military background with my family, but my grandfather, his father, they've been here in this country and they all served, whether willingly or unwillingly, through draft or enlistment. They definitely were proud of their service, and I'm proud of their service, especially their family. And I kind of felt like I could continue that, as well as also get into more so it's like a trade, I guess you'd call it, the trades within the service. Because everybody knows the Civil Engineer Corps with the Army. I was interested in Navy. Also Marines at one point, but they kind of dropped the ball with me. I'm not going to even throw any shade at any branch. I won't start doing that. But they definitely gave me more of a feeling of like an actual offer, we'll call it, because that's really what it is. And looking into the Seabees, I came in already, I didn't know what they were, but I knew of the Seabees. And same like you said, people see the cartoon Bumblebee or whatever they want to, I've heard it called a million different things, but it's a cartoon nonetheless. And that's what people unfortunately think of, yet they don't even know the rich history of it, which I already came into understanding some with World War II, with the whole island hopping campaign, the construction area and all that. So when I spoke to the recruiter about it and I asked him, I said, hey, is there a possibility, well, I'll be on a boat and whatever else is that, I like the Navy. I don't want to be on a ship. I don't want to be stuck at sea. He said, don't worry. If you pick any of these, I can almost 90% guarantee you will not be on a boat. No more, even if you had to, maybe a week or two for whatever. I know we've done exercises and other stuff back in battalion, whatever. But that was kind of my interest to it. And like I said, I wouldn't say mechanically inclined, but still interested in those trades, everything else. And that was really the bone work of how I got into that field, I guess you could call it.
Nice. Yeah. Not everybody knows about the Seabees. And that was kind of like me too, where I had no idea what the Seabees were up until, this was in 06, was when a Marine Corps recruiter talked to me and was like, because I had my CDL and he was like, you can go be a badass construction worker. You got a CDL, you can be a truck driver. And I was like, yo, that's dope. But I was just too stupid enough to pass the ASVAB at that time. So, it took me a couple of years. So, how was like your experience in like A school and stuff like that?
Yeah. So, for A school, obviously, I guess I could set it up for people if they might not know anything.
Right.
Once you go to basic training, graduate, whatever, you're might be on holding, stay there. You might go straight to your A school, and your A school is pretty much just for your training for your job. So for CMs, this is in Port Hueneme. I had my sweatshirt here actually before. I had it with me. I didn't wear it. It got too warm. We're in spring. It's getting nice out. But
Pre-spring.
the what?
Pre-spring.
Pre-spring. We are technically. All right. First day of March, right? We're getting there. But so you went to Port Hueneme for CMA school. So Southern California, I'm sure I don't need to elaborate on that. It's wonderful most time of the year. Just careful of earthquakes, wildfires, and don't get jabbed by a homeless guy on the street. That's really all I could say. Just be careful. LAX, when you come in, be careful. But it's a wonderful place, wonderful food. Beach is beautiful. Like I said, I don't really need to go into detail, but when you get on base, it is very it's your world is a little bit opened if you're not traveled or not experienced with seeing different parts of the country. It's definitely expansion from your little realm you were stuck in, your bubble at boot camp. So if this is like for something a first time getting out of your state or traveling on your own, I mean, you're definitely going to be still limited. So I don't think it's overwhelming. But the training and the class time definitely isn't, I wouldn't say that it's so crucial that missing something, you're going to be, this isn't the be all end all of your experience and your learning and your any training by any means. Training continues throughout your whole service career, but for sure, it got me up to speed on a lot of things I didn't know, because you could show up to any job. Theoretically, you don't need to know anything coming in. As long as you can pass the test, pick up the information and knowledge, you don't even need to be scared. I mean, I'm sure for you, you didn't come in knowing everything about HVAC or electrical or any of this other stuff. I mean,
dude, I'm a horrible plumber.
So and nobody needs to be the best either. And at the end of the day, we need bodies. We need bodies. What are they going to ask? We need bodies.
Right.
So, and as long as you can show up and do the work and at least learn something, you're already ahead of the game. And so really, it's not as intimidating as it may sound. You're not going to be a nuke. You're not going to be out on a sub. You don't need to have no top secret clearance. Half the time, it kind of feels like you're in a college dorm. I won't even lie to you. A school, as long as you take it serious enough, you make good friends, you hang out, you get ready to go out to battalion, wherever. You might not end up in a battalion, but either way, 90% of you will end up in a battalion going into the Seabees, which is the standard. That's nothing wrong or nothing great. It's just, that's how it goes.
Right.
But California was cool. And it's about, I think it was like 3 or 4 months. Again, you might be on holding. A class might not start if it's during holidays. You might get, I'll call it like a layover. You might have to hang out a week and skip a start of a class so they have a full class. I think if anybody understands how it works to fill a class, that's how it is. But I think for standard 3 or so months, and phases.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I will remind you, and I will explain them a little bit. You have liberty. And if you're not familiar with the term liberty, it's pretty much your free time. Just replace liberty with your free time to do most of what you want. I won't say anything you want. You got to stay with either on base, I think at phase 1, and there's 3 phases. So in phase 1, you got to be at least in some type of uniform. Doesn't matter if it's your PT service uniform. They probably make it stupid for you depending if somebody screws up. Don't worry, someone will. And you guys will be forced to have inspections, and you can't really stay out late anyway. Phase 2, I think they made us do what was that? You had to write up something. It was either a paper report or something. How was it for you? What was your phases like?
We had 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So like 1 was you have to be in uniform all the time. You have to be in peanut butters all the time. 2 was when you were able to go off base and be able to wear civvies.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think 3 was you're able to put in an overnight shit, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, I
You?
just wanted to make sure. Did you have to submit anything, or like it was kind of like a testing like thing to go to the next phase, or did you just get that as you were there?
I don't really remember. I think it was like kind of like automatic, kind of like how
Okay.
like you get E1, E2, E3. I think anyway. Like I don't really
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I know for us, it was, and by the way, yeah, because as you can see, this is a little different between rates. I mean, your A school where you're at, it's also contingent on what that base NCTC would be called, right? I think
Where?
that's what it was. NCTC, isn't that what they call NCTC Wainimi for Wainimi? I think that's what for
Oh well,
Naval
yeah,
Command Training Center, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so whatever those commands are, they still will dictate kind of, it can differ. So for ours at CM A school, again, this is 2019, 2020. At that time, it was 3 phases. First phase, like we said, you're stuck in uniform practically. Not mean you can't be in regular clothes, just if you're going out and about, you got to be. Oh, and the tag, you got to wear the tag on your pocket, your
We
little
didn't
clip
have
tag
that.
that says phase one, right?
Oh,
Because they got to see what nerds are out there, and they got to make sure so they can come up to you. Oh, are you not doing this? So when colors goes off, they could blast you after colors for not being in your uniform. You know how many times I saw it. It was hilarious. And the one time I got confused with somebody they thought it was because I was phase two, so I don't think I had to have my tag on. But at phase two, to get to phase two, you had to sign papers, like a little research paper, and then you had to give a history of the Seabees. And I think you had like 2 things you had to choose. So obviously, everyone picks Marvin Shields. If you're going to be a Seabee, know who Marvin Shields is. All right, know who that guy is, and it's a
Mark Shields is the
no-brainer.
king of the bees.
It's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
But you got to know who he is because you're 90% of people are going to do their one thing on that. And I think if you had to do, maybe it wasn't 2, but at least to go from phase to phase, you had to do some CB history report or something similar, right? And phase two, I think, like you said, similar. You could go out in town. We had to have a battle buddy. There's no going out alone.
Right. Yeah.
Battle buddy is your best friend, even if he's not your best friend. I don't care what happens. Be back on time. Otherwise, everyone's going to be pissed at you. You're going to get your ass beat if you are the one that causes someone to be stuck out in town. You forge your name in. Just don't get caught. Just don't get caught, and everyone will be happy. I'm just telling you. This is advice now. I'm not even giving experience. This is advice. All right. I'm trying to help you out. But that's phase two. Phase three, I think you need to have a battle buddy, or at least it's somebody who is signed out with you. You don't have to be together, but same thing. There's a little more responsibility. You have to be back, sign at the same time, and you have to sign each other. You can sign each other out or in or whatever it is. But again, don't get hemmed up. Don't be, I'm at the bar. It's 12 o'clock. Just sign me in. I'll be back. I'm not saying not to, right? Everybody does and did it, but don't be that guy that ends up because here's what happened to us. We had a lovely experience. And it might even be controversial, and I don't even know the details. Something happened. There was a guy, there was a girl, something happened. I don't know. You know what happens on base in the barracks. Somebody was out on town. Somebody was signed back in. And moral of the story, they got caught. The whole school got brought back to phase one. That means everybody temporarily was at phase one. Didn't matter if it was your last week there. Didn't matter if it was your first week there. Everybody. And there's people who just straight up didn't. They were like, screw it for 3 months. I'll just be on house arrest. I don't care. I'll wear my uniform every day. You don't got to. It's not mandatory. But because it's not automatic, these people had to actually do something to phase up. So when you tell a guy who's about to graduate week, hey, by the way, you can't go out, you can't be out of uniform, you can't do all your liberties are taken away. You could tick some people off. So don't be the guy. Don't be the guy to screw it up for the rest of us. Because one rule you're going to remember: it takes one person to get the entire company in trouble.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. What I mean, we weren't in the same company, but we've been on deployments together.
Of course, yeah.
Right? We went to Guam
Beautiful place.
and we went to Rhoda,
Rhoda. I was slated to go to Rhoda,
but you didn't go the second
but
time.
they took me off, yeah,
Right.
because of the whole situation I had
Mhm.
due to the vaccine mandate.
Right. Yeah. So, would you be able to like kind of like explain like what happened with that?
Yeah, I could. But what do you want to start at? Where do you want to start at? Like where it began, or just what was going on during that period? Because I mean,
Well,
there is a little bit of, I wouldn't say history, but there's a preemptive rules that were before that. They kind of what would you they foreshadow what was to come.
right. Yeah. They kind of like made us, right? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Is that what you're trying
Well,
to
hold
say? Like,
on. That's the wrong words. They highly suggested that you go along with the vaccines before the mandate came out.
right.
And I'm sure not just you, but I don't know how many other people, if you were able to even contact me, you could ask, oh, we highly suggest that you go to doc and schedule a vaccine, schedule getting the vaccine. So they really they eased it in. I wouldn't say that it wasn't, and this was also, remember, before it was even a big thing out in the civilian world, I'll call it, before it was out for everybody else and the news was going crazy about like we were hearing about vaccines beforehand. I'm sure you remember that because
Right. Yeah, I do.
yeah, because they came out with the mask thing
Right.
and at first, I mean, that was BS because we were in, remember, I showed up the battalion. It was a
Right.
great time. It was Echo Company, right? We stayed back.
Yeah.
And I remember, and as a CM, I had a weird start because I was at the shop with Alpha Company, the Alpha Dogs. I was with the Alpha Dogs for about
Right.
2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe, until what do you call it? The first group that comes back from deployment. Um, what were
AP.
they called again?
AP.
Yeah. So when they first showed up, coming back from deployment, because Battalion 11 was on deployment. So when
Right.
they were coming back, that was when they wanted to start organizing you into your company. And since we were brand new, that batch, I got thrown into whatever.
Right.
Except
I remember that because I was coming back on that deployment when you were coming into battalion with them.
exactly. So it was a funny period because at that time, that's when COVID, I'm going to call it the scandemic, came in. Okay.
Yeah.
It came around. I don't know what anybody was thinking at the time because I really can't remember 100%. But all I do remember is, all right, we got to keep things limited. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. Okay. So
Right.
battalion
I
comes
remember that.
back. Yeah, battalion comes back. And for some reason, as a CM, right, as a mechanic, they go, this guy checked in. CM, I think I was CM2 Cassidy at that point, right?
Oh, right.
Or
Yeah, I
sorry, not
remember that.
CM2. Sorry.
Yeah.
CMCA, right? CMCA, construction and apprentice. I came in, so as an E2, and they said, that's funny. This guy checked in, and I don't think this is the dialogue that happened, but I have a friend as well. I'm sure a friend of yours. He was BU, I guess BUCA at that time, Cassiano. So me and Cassiano,
That's your brother.
he
That's your
practically,
Jersey
in
brother.
most ways, practically. I mean, we grew up together. We're from the same town here in Jersey,
Right.
dirty Jersey. We both. I mean, we've been friends since maybe even before kindergarten. We've known each other, right? So, and that's a funny story itself. Different
Right. Yeah.
jobs,
That's definitely
different
funny.
times, and we end up in the same battalion. Roommates in the barracks. Okay,
Oh,
that by itself was insane. I didn't understand how that happened. You know what I mean? That was like an act of God. But we came in and checked in together against miraculously. And I guess whoever the staff at the HQ, I guess whoever was there had a brain fart that day. And Cassiano put me as a BU on paperwork, right? Threw me into, it was Echo Company, right? That is Echo Company.
Echo Company is the company that
We were in it at the warehouse.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not even with any experience yet at Alpha, besides a couple weeks of doing, tire stuff, lube stuff, what the basics, right? And all of a sudden I'm in a warehouse with non-alpha types, with I'm with
you work with us.
I know. I was with you guys. I was in, I don't even know where I was. I was lost.
Right.
I was like, well, I guess I'll do it. I'm here now. I don't get a say.
You work with me, Billy.
Billy was my dad at that point. Billy became our dad at that point, at least for me. I don't know. Yeah. And what a cool guy. All right. I'm going to give a shout out to him.
Yeah, Billy.
I know I haven't spoken to him in a while, but I haven't spoken to really anybody from there. But I hope he's doing well, because he was a no nonsense yet funny, laid back guy, and he was the warehouse dad there, And there was other people. Who else am I thinking of? There was Koski. There was
Koski. Yeah, that's right.
Well, obviously you were there. There was Lore,
and
there was so many, and everybody was a character. There was nobody who was just like and my introduction with Bu1 Melendez. And I don't want to out him. I'm not saying anything mean about him. I'm not saying anything bad or whatever. But he also was there as well with us. And I know he was the one who was enforcing a little bit more of the rules, and Chief Bonds at the time. When I left, he's Senior Bonds. Is he anything higher now, or?
I have no idea. I'm not like friends with him or anything like that.
But Chief Bonds, the guy, all right? He was the top dog, and he was there for us. And I'll be honest, when these suggestions came out, hey, wear the mask, whatever else, he's like, just, if anyone important's around, okay, just,
I made Chief Bonds curse.
What?
I made Chief Bonds curse.
No, and that's right. We had, and there were so many funny times too. I can't even remember all the stories, but inventory. That's all we did most of the time in the warehouse. That's what you do in a warehouse. Moving the containers. I think you got your forklift license there. You did all this stuff. And again, that's another thing. You don't got to be in any rate to get these licenses in the service. I mean, get them. Just start doing them. Get them. Because you know what? That, coupled with me being an alpha type doing non-alpha type things, for some reason, they looked at me and said, this guy's great. And I got ranked up to
third, right? Yeah.
To E3 at least. But it did come into effect when I got ranked up to CM3, I got advanced to CM3. But I'll get into that because the conditions were different because of the mandates. So I'll bring it back into the whole COVID thing here with the pandemic. And so because it was a weird time, like we had limited staff sometimes, or I want to call it skeleton crew.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
And you remember we were phone mustering. For God's sakes, we weren't even coming out. Like some days, all right, this group, or what was it, group A or gold and blue or something, come out.
Yeah, A and B, right.
There was times we had days off when this started. And I mean, it was great. The same memes you see. Hey, we got 2 weeks off. What do you want to do? And then all of a sudden we're 2 years later and it's still going, like, oh my God.
Right.
Well, it was not anything normal at all. Nothing about it was normal. No procedure was normal. They didn't have anything going on, a regular operating procedure. Nothing. Everything was altered. And that's still where I saw some alpha guys, and I said, "Hey, what are you guys doing here? Can you take me? Am I supposed to be working with you guys?" Wasn't sure it was happening. So because they were preoccupied with all of these, they were probably getting word from upstairs, about everything. All right, the masks. Then we had officers come in, other people visiting, but since these were inspections, we had to be masked up, all proper, stand 6 feet apart. God forbid you hit your vape too close to somebody, that COVID might get you. Okay. I remember standing out in front of the vending machine. It was just so weird. And they've set it up this way, I think, not the battalions, not, whatever. I'm talking higher up. I think it got set out this way because nobody really knew what to do. We didn't know how serious. We didn't know what was even going on, how it spread, whatever else, right? But at the end of the day, they did kind of take a normal approach to it. Nothing was absolutely absurd. But when we got to the point where masks were mandatory everywhere, okay, whatever. I mean, I get it. No problem.
I hated that.
They said, yeah, and it made no sense. PT, you're wearing a
Right.
mask at PT. You want me to go run a mile and a half, do the push-up? Like, what? You're not going to see me in the gym with it. And it wasn't enforced in the gym at that time.
Right.
That's what else made it stupid.
When we were in Guam.
Yeah.
Right.
And it wasn't at the gym, but it was here. Okay. But if you're at work, it's okay. But if you're outside at muster, no. You better have that thing on. Well, you know.
Oh, and walking too. If you were walking,
Yeah.
you know, oh, you know,
Yeah.
I remember IT1. I don't remember his name. He was like, "Hey, Olivo, you want to put your mask on?" I was like,
Yeah.
"No."
Yeah.
I mean, I did it, but I didn't want to.
Yeah, and I got a story to bring up too for that too, and it was funny. But we were getting, you know, into what was it? I eventually they figured the paperwork out because when they advanced me, that's what happened. They advanced me. I said, hey, by the way, it says I'm BU what was it? BUCA
CA or
BU
USA.
E3. Yeah, BU
Yeah.
yeah, so E3, whatever that
BUSM.
was, they listed me as that, as a BU.
Yeah.
So when I went to Chief, I said, Chief, I appreciate you with the eval help. I mean, thank you very much. I mean, he really is the one that helped push it along. I got advanced, but I was like, I'm not a BU. He goes, really? We're 8 months in, right? Into battalion. Everybody thinks I'm a BU, even though I've been saying I'm a CM. Within 24 hours, I was signing paperwork to get an Alpha. Alpha's hand reached out, yoinked me right back in. I was an Alpha dog right there, okay? And there was no going back. So it was like relearning all these things and people again. And then now I was actually doing my job. It was pretty crazy. But I already had out of rate work on my eval.
Would you say because of that experience kind of made you think about getting out, or?
I would say it definitely put the seed of thought into my mind of how are things actually run around here. Like, you're not going to have this kind of stuff go on for so long without, you know, hey, let's just write the papers and get them over here like nothing happened. Like, okay, but that is a kind of a big deal because for all I know, I could have been working on, you know, in IT. I could have been, you know, doing security stuff, and they just plop me in God knows what company, you know, with all these people, with people like you. Oh my God! But
Look, they have Bravo types. Dude,
I
being a Bravo
know
type is fucking awesome, okay?
I could have been out on a project, and I'm supposed to be sitting at a computer. What am I? You know, you're trusting me to put this stuff together. You know, what am I supposed to do?
While the Alpha dogs are in the BMF working, the Bravo types and the Charlie types are off of work. So
It's true. It's true. And you know what? We had to stay late so you guys could go home early. And God forbid we called one of you to come pick up the truck and move it. Oh man, we heard about it. We heard about it. But yeah, no, Alpha types, if you're gonna be a CM, you're gonna work. And it's pretty much relying on you of what gets done, when it gets done, and I mean how you're gonna get people in. True Polars, everything else, Humvees, MK, you know, the Mark 21. I mean, you're be doing everything really, in and outside of your rate. But once I was over there, I got another glimpse of how it's run. P.S. It's a shit show.
Yeah.
P.S. If you're looking for this structure, you will have it in the military. You're not gonna lose that rigid structure. But the same way as if you've worked anywhere and you know how things get managed, it's still people managing things. You don't go in thinking, oh yes sir, and blah blah. You're gonna be sitting there. No. He just got done getting off the phone, yelling at his wife, Chief. You know, this guy. Then he's gonna come and take it on CM1. CM1's all pissed off. Now all you're getting delegated the crap work. You know, not every day. Don't worry, but you gotta understand. I think you understand. That's how it goes. And then when that's all done, you're gonna finish everything. You're gonna tell CM1 you're done. He's going to tell you, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're never done. You just got to figure out how to make what he asked fit the time frame he wants it in. So don't get done too early, but don't be too late. There's always something to be done.
Oh yeah, of course.
So, you know, the only thing that made it worse is the COVID. I don't want to call it the mandate because it wasn't mandates at the time. These were all suggestions, but it was enforced. Like I said, the masks. So as we went to FEX, which was the exercise we do for pre-deployment, like readiness, you know, you go out in the field for, it was quite a bit, like a month or more. Yeah.
It's like
Could be more if you went out, had to stay back, didn't know, you know, but if every battalion as they do passes everything as they go, it's about a month.
I haven't talked really too much about FEX. All I've pretty much said was that it sucks.
Yeah, you're gonna be hot, you're gonna be cold, you're gonna be no matter what sweaty and disgusting. There's no showers most of the time.
You're gonna be dirty,
disgusting.
You're gonna not take a shower. You're gonna take, remember the
dude wipes.
Yeah.
Wipe down. You're taking a dude wipe shower. That's what you're doing. Maybe the hose is set up in the tent, but I'm gonna be honest with you. To find the time, dude, I want to sleep because you're also going to be up. My
last FEX, dude, I showered, and I was the only one that was in there.
Wow.
I showered.
Dude. Yeah, and sleeping, this is really it. Sleeping or a shower, you know, which one do you want? Because even when you get to sleep, just remember, you're going to have those drills where you're going to get up, the siren's going to go out, and you got to go muster. So you know what? You better just wait for the first one and shower. So that way, I mean, you can't run out naked, but hey, at least if they want to yell at you, oh, I was showering, sorry, you know.
Right.
But yeah, you are going to choose between showering and sleep. So
what would you say is your favorite part, or was your favorite part about being a Seabee?
About being a Seabee?
Yeah.
Honestly, there's not one thing, but you know, it could be cliche and say it was a whole experience. But but I mean, in all honesty, it's going to be what you make it. So I don't know. You're going to have the nights you're like, why am I here? I need to get out of here. And then you're going to have nights where you're like, damn, like, you know, like I can't wait till we get to, you know, honestly, I'm excited to go in tomorrow, you know, like what are we doing?
Right.
But you know, if you have the mindset where you can take things at face value, and then you can as well look forward to your own personal like progress, you're going to be fine. I mean, just if you're not going to take anything personally, you're going to go cool places. Some places are terrible, but you get that experience. You know what I mean? It's up to you. You get to balance things out. So in all honesty, you're going to do jobs you never thought you were going to do in a good and bad way. I never thought I was going to be taking a literal toothbrush to the grout in my tile in my barracks room, cleaning my barracks room to that extent. I didn't think I was going to be taking Q-tips and cleaning in the fridge gasket. I didn't know that. But I also didn't know I was going to be jumping off of cliffs in Guam out into the ocean. You know, I didn't know I was going to be hauling like a tractor trailer, you know, down the road. I was going to be going through armored Humvees, you know, sitting in an MRAP, you know, doing all this, blowing up C4 or not C4, sorry, Claymores. You know, shooting underbarrel grenade launchers, shooting all, dude, stuff you only think you do in Call of Duty, all right? And do not compare it to Call of Duty, because believe me.
Well, hold up. We're Navy SEAL superheroes, though.
Oh, I forgot. That's right. Yeah, we're pretty much Navy SEAls. We just build things. That's right. I forgot.
Well, we're the superheroes of the Navy SEAls.
Well, yeah, exactly. We're practically when we're at boot camp, they pretty much say you could do buds, but this is like the same thing. So just, you know what I mean? So we're super troopers. But yeah, Expeditionary Command. Yeah, I mean they're in there with us. Same as SWIC. Same as what was the underwater demolition?
EOD. UTC.
Yeah, EOD. Yeah, and yeah, that as well.
Yeah, we have billets for EOD, UTC. Those are, you know, I'm getting
it's all Expeditionary Command.
Those ones that we just said, like SEALs. all the special SWIC, we have like, I remember CMs usually goes to SWIC, right?
A lot of I did see and I heard that you can transfer, you can put in a packet or a package or whatever and get hopefully you still got to get approved, but you could go to those commands. But Seabees play a more supportive role, and there's nothing wrong because how else is anything going to get done? I mean, there needs to be support. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know if on your channel or whatever else you've talked about the history of I mean, it's crucial. It's vital. I mean, we wouldn't have even won certain wars or battles without that infrastructure. So that's kind of, I guess what I could say is you're a part of something that's pretty amazing. You're a part of a niche group in the Navy and the military as a whole. I mean, I would just take pride in that. And for the fact that it's so niche and specific, every single branch, every single group and faction is going to have its own experience. You're going to take part in something awesome. So really, it's more of having pride in what you're doing. That's probably what I would take away. My favorite part is I got to be a part of it, even if I didn't stay in my whole contract, even if I didn't do everything there was to do, I was a part of it. And I still got to do crazy stuff. You know what I mean? I got a scuba license on deployment. I got all this. You do stuff at work, off work, and you get skills and other stuff. You'll carry on forever. So really, it's not a grand takeaway, but that should be at least your takeaway, I think, in anything.
Fuck, I wanted to ask you one more thing. When was like that moment when they were like, all right, well, you're getting kicked out because you didn't get the vaccine?
Yeah. So when they decided to say you are getting it or you're getting out was probably in the latter half of the whole, I guess you call it time frame. Because like I said, I guess how I was saying before, I was building up to it, but we've been answering a lot of things, so I'll bring it back. They got to a point where the masks weren't working, or I don't think they really ever worked, if you ask me. But the mask mandate really wasn't working. It was you might as well just put a tissue on your face. You know what I mean? And it was enforced. It wasn't enforced on the day, depending who was there. But for important things and looks, you had to be wearing it. If you were going to be anywhere in public, you had to be, wearing it. It was a look. A lot of the military, it's a look and how you look outwardly to the world. So they kind of built up to the point where they said, hey, we highly suggest that you get the vaccines. We know that it's not mandated. No, it's not mandated. But, they're available. We ordered it for you. DOD's ordered them all here for you. So if you want, we suggest you take it. Oh, yeah, it's a good thing. Don't worry. So people, some people are like, sure. I think, and they came out with the percentages. About like 8 to 10% got it in that first like 2 months. Then they came in and they're like, so only a couple of you have gotten it. Why? You were like, well, it's experimental. Yeah. Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad that we gave you an experimental vaccine to take? Like we're offering it to you. Why aren't you taking it? This is experimental science. Why would you not put this in your body? Why would you not take this? This is for you. We're doing it for you. It's free. The government, they love throwing out. It's free. Just take it. Why not? So again, they maybe got a couple.
Man, just jump over a bridge, bro.
Come on, come on.
Everybody else is doing it.
Yeah, why not? Just go ahead. Just go ahead. So, I'm not calling people idiots for taking it either. Don't think that's my stance.
I took the vaccine. I didn't want to, but
I'll get to that. So, as I said, you got to the point where we were there and they said, okay, they got a couple more people do it. They weren't even at half. They weren't even at 50% of people vaccinated. And CM1 sat us down, or at least whoever your first class or platoon leader sat you down, right? At least it happened for us in Alpha. And he said, look, I'm going to be real with you, and I'm going to tell you what they want me to tell you. He said, I've never seen anything like it. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they're pushing it so hard. He's like, but they're coming down with the fist, all right? They're offering you the vaccine, but you're going to have to take it. And I said, whoa. Why do we have to take it? I said, I thought this is a medical issue. Medical readiness, whatever. You can say whatever for that, okay? Get written up.
I didn't get my flu shot.
Yeah. And I didn't either at that point
Yeah.
because I told him, I said, what is it? I mean, you could swap this out and tell me flu shot. And then like when I showed up, oh, oops, that was actually the COVID vaccine. You know,
Right.
I don't trust you. I don't trust you. What makes you can't even get my job right. You don't even know who I am. So why would I even trust you with my own, health and vaccine distribution? I mean, and you can argue when you went into basic, you got a whole assembly line, but to be honest, I said no. And I also wrote down that I just got most of them. So they only gave me the flu shot, hepatitis B and something else. So, and I didn't even want them, but I said, okay, they got to give me something. So I left a couple open, you know what I mean? So,
Right.
and again, if you're going to ask me, it's not life and death. Okay. You get the flu shot. I got the flu after I got the flu shot anyway. And then it turned into some congestion, like some infection. I've never had, and then they gave me medicine for that. So I'm like, what was the point of that? I mean, I'm going to get the flu anyway if I wanted to.
Right.
I've been out, by the way, for.
What does CM1 say? What does CM1 say though? Like he's like they're putting down the.
Yeah, so he came in. He said, "I don't know what's going on, but they're gonna put the hammer down." You know what I mean? And he said, but what they want me to tell you is, get it, or there's going to be not repercussions, but limitations to what you can do for liberty or where you can go or whatever. You're not going to be able to go here. You can't go to work for this. Nothing else like that. But pretty much after that discussion took place the very next day, this is my wife, by the way. But we were told, I think it was the very next day, is, hey, sign up. Sign up for what? Doc's here. He's got a list. All you people doing the vaccine, put your name here. We'll get it to you today. No. So I walked out, went back to work, was doing my job, and they're still walking around all day with a clipboard. Oh, your name's not on here. Came up to me maybe 3 times. I said, no, thank you. Get back to turning wrenches. No, thank you. Turning wrenches. Go up to everybody else, and they're still pissed. Again, maybe they push it over 50%. What do they call it? Health readiness, or you know what I mean? Physical readiness or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So that was the first phase of it, of actual enforcement. So then after they did that, I'm sitting at work, right? I'm sitting at the BMF, and they just walk in, and I'm like, what's this? Oh, we're having a vaccination something here today. In the shop? In the shop? What do you mean? You're giving vaccines in the shop. I understand you could administer a vaccine wherever if you really wanted, if it's clean. We're in a diesel mechanic shop, all right, with these guys sweating all over the place, with people filthy. All right, we got people who, you're going to have these people who don't shower on a regular basis, okay? Yeah, and you know what I'm talking about. There are people who just neglect hygiene. Don't ask me why.
That's Italian life, though, man. You know,
that's
not Italian life.
So I don't know what decision was made to administer vaccines inside of a mechanic shop. So I told him, I said, even if I wanted to, why would you give it to me here? And he walks in, he's holding the vaccine, says, I can just give it to you now. Let me give it to you. And I told him, I said, get the F out of my office. Get out of this office here. I was like, what are you doing? We're going to write you up if you don't get it. I said, bro, I told him, I said, kick me out if you want. Little did I know how much foreshadowing that had.
Oh, shit. Wow. Okay.
Because I didn't know that. I said, you could discharge me if you want. Write me up. I said, whatever. I'm not taking it. And you can't. You can't hold me down and give it to me. It's so simple. Yeah. If I say no to the flu shot, you can't give it to me. And they didn't. So he stormed out. I don't know why personally. I really don't know why he was personally upset. I'm like, dude, why do you care? But then they came out and said, by this date, and I know you remember this, because said, by this date, we need this amount vaccinated. Okay. And then what? So everybody waited it out, because there was a majority of people didn't want it. People were just reluctant because, again, it wasn't anything political, it wasn't anything health. They just were like, why would I take it? Why? It's experimental. I don't know what it is. Do I have to? Probably not. No. Nobody got it. They said, okay, now this date, we need to have this much. Mm-hmm. Some more people folded, right? And then they came out 3 strikes, 3 strikes, you're out. Third time's a charm. They go, okay, you want to take leave? You got to have a vaccine. If not, you got to write out a paragraph as to why you want to go home, whatever else. I mean, look, I thought the intelligent route, and I just said, hey, like, my grandpa's dying or something. Can I go home? Because what are they going to say now? Okay, let's be real. That's what a lot of people did. Oh, this person's sick or whatever. I got to go home, whatever. Because again, you have that right to take leave, same as any other job. It's a little different. It does have to get approved by multiple people in your command.
Yeah, but it always gets approved, though.
But it always gets approved.
Right.
So when it gets kicked back,
like facts or some sort of major, hey, this is the leave period. If you can't, if you don't take leave within this time frame, then
And they tell you, and they set it up, and it's pretty much, it's not guaranteed, but when and how, and you're going to take leave. So during those times, they said, no, actually, no, we'll kick it back about 3 or 4 times. So that way it's so close to that window, missing that window, you can't go.
Right.
Okay. That's kind of scummy, Okay. And it wasn't like, I'm not going to say it was personally motivated by these people, but the fact that, okay, the DOD mandated this and then was saying this.
It's just the nature of the beast.
What?
That's just the nature of the beast,
It
of
is.
the military life, dude. Like, we have to listen to our support, our people that are above us, like our chiefs and officers and stuff like that.
Exactly.
That's the same. It goes from the top down. And with that time frame, that was when Joe Biden was in office, and all his cabinet members and stuff like that, they were the ones that issued that mandate and all that stuff. So it went from the top down, and
exactly. And you know what? I was just about to bring it up, and it's good that you did, because that goes right into what you're asking. Is at that point, once they started restricting leave, they started restricting liberty at some places, right? And don't forget, they were fine when they first implemented this. You couldn't even get a haircut. My hair, dude, you remember my hair? I had it going. I had a flow happening. And the whole thing made no sense, because how are you going to keep grooming standards if you can't go to a barbershop?
Right, if you can't go to the
I started cutting hair in the barracks for people, giving buzz cuts for like $5. I didn't care. I mean, people wanted to look nice. I said, screw it. I'm going to look like a bum. I don't care.
Right. I always shaved my head, though, so I didn't have
So, I didn't understand. Either you enforce it or you don't. But when it came down to it, they restricted you from leave. They restricted you from certain places you could go. And again, they made it harder for you if you weren't vaccinated. And again, at that point, what message is that sending to everybody? I mean, that's the DOD, that's the government coming out. And like you said, that administration at the time was Joe Biden's. As coherent as he might have been at the time, because we don't even know how coherent he was. I don't know if he was ever truly there with us. He decided that he allowed the DOD, and actually he supported it. I'm going to paraphrase it, because I don't have the receipts on it. I don't have the actual article. Feel free to fact check it. But of his actual position on it, he stated, it doesn't matter what the classification was, discharge these people if they're not going to comply. Not those words, those aren't exact words, but that was what his stance was on it. Because they said, we want to kick these people out if they're not going to comply. Because it was about compliance. Forget about the readiness for everything else. It came down to, it was about compliance. And because not the amount of people were complying, they said, you can get out. Here's the problem. It was a majority, right? At that point, before these restrictions and everything else came out. Because as I mentioned before, with my buddy Cassiano, right?
Right.
He was, because I knew him personally, we were roommates, everything else. I knew his exact situation. Yeah, and he's a cool guy. And it stings. It stinks when it happens to somebody even for the people, for people as a whole within the military, the Navy, and all the branches, right? Because you knew this was going on for everybody. And there was court cases happening over it. But they came to him, right, and said, oh, we noticed you're not vaccinated yet. Yeah, no problem. They're like, what about your leave? My leave's approved. He's had it approved for over a month. His family was meeting him since we were stationed in Mississippi in Gulfport.
Right.
His family was meeting him over in Florida. So he was going to drive out over there, not worry about a flight, which they didn't like. Don't mind my cat coming through. She's
fine, bro.
She's a cutie.
We're gonna have to wrap it up, bro, because I got the CB ball coming up, and I got to check into the hotel at.
Okay, yeah, no, I'll finish up here with you. I'll finish up here. So, because this is the end point here. So what they did was, they told Cassiano that, hey, your leave's been approved for about a whole month, but you don't have a vaccine. Yeah, they're like, do you have all your arrangements in order? Yeah, I paid for the tickets for my family. I paid for the hotel. We got the tickets for whatever, Disney World, whatever. Yeah, your leave's not approved.
Oh shit!
What do you mean? Oh, well, we denied it because we realized you're not vaccinated. He's like, I'm leaving in 3 days. How does that work? They're like, well, if you get vaccinated, you can go. And he's like, what do you mean? If I get vaccinated, you mandatorily make me stay 2 weeks on quarantine. Oh, well, if you get it, then you can go. Yeah. So here it is. It's BS. At the end of the day, it's all BS. It's about controlling and compliance. So at that point, I just told what I said to myself, whatever it is, I'm not getting it. And we got down to a group of people. I think it was 8 people in our whole command, right? And that was it. Yeah, and they said, you're getting it or you're getting out. We're going to discharge you. It's going to be dishonorable. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. You suck. You're a disgrace to the Navy. You aren't a real Seabee. I'm serious. I'm not even making these up. They started saying this. They said, you're tarnishing the name. You're not even serving your country by doing that. I was like, you could say whatever. I mean, you're not going to bully me into it. They said, okay, you can throw out this name, whatever. They had, what's his name? He was, can't remember him. Oh my gosh. It's in the command. He's the religious, oh my gosh, who's that guy? Chaplain. Yeah, that's right. Sorry. Wow. Chaps came out. He came and spoke to us. Come on, guys, you can sign a religious waiver and just say whatever. Look, just sign it. I'll approve it. You can get around it and stay in. I said, I have no problem staying in, but I'm not gonna be disrespected like that. I have principles. I have standards. I'm not gonna act like this is fine, Right. And a couple more people went and signed it. Yeah, that was a trick. So then they came in and said, oh, by the way, guys, since Congress said it's unconstitutional to discharge you dishonorably, we got you. You signed that religious exemption. Now we can't kick you out, but you have to stay in and listen to what we say. You don't have to get the vaccine now, but we get to keep you, because they realized, oh my God, we're going to lose half of our manning.
Right.
Anybody would realize that. So long story short, we would get to the last 4 or 5 guys, right? And they still got to dick us around at the end. They still got to screw us around, come in at 5 a.m. You're pretty much a janitor, just clean the spaces. And when the battalion got caught red-handed past the date we were supposed to be gone, you know what happened?
No.
Chief signed a paperwork. Oh, by the way, you're in the reserve battalion. Have a fun time. We got transferred that day, so battalion saved their own ass and kicked us to the curb over to reserve battalion, so we weren't their problem and they didn't get reprimanded because they stalled that long. And I don't think people even know that.
Wow.
So once we ended up at reserves with our, as vagabonds with our ditty, our bags and everything else, we're like, hey, we're here now. They were like, so they didn't even know what was happening. We just showed up to show the paperwork. They're like, I guess you work here now. We're like, no, we got to get out. Still took them 3 months from then, get the paperwork. And even when I left, they tried to say, you got to be in uniform if you're going to respect this, whatever. I said, why? You're kicking me out. You didn't respect me. Right. Chief's standing there at the door like this. She was standing there waiting for me to show up, so I showed up just with the shirt and the pants. I said, all right, Chief, see you. Grabbed my paperwork, walked out the back door, drove home. I said, come on, that's no way. I said, you serve, they come in and do all this to you. And that's not, and I had a pretty easy off, like there's people with families, people who are in for 10 plus years. You're going to retire. You got kids. What are you supposed to do? You're cornered. And they know that. They know you got no choice. So
it's a shame too, bro, because you are such a good dude. You were such a good, CB, you were such a good worker. And it sucked.
They did that to their own service members, and it doesn't matter, good or bad. I mean, it shouldn't happen to anybody. But yeah, I mean, I tried to do my best. Everybody had find the time to slack off. I know, but guess what? When you're on 24 hours at points, I'm going to find some time to slack off. Okay, I'm going to. Somebody else is there to pick it up. Don't worry, but don't be a blue falcon. Do not be a blue falcon.
All right, last question. All right, and
Okay.
then I got to take a shower. What would you come back if you had the opportunity to?
So if I was given the opportunity to come back, if it were under different pretenses, because I know now they've changed, I would consider it. But how things went and what, in my experience, I'm glad I served, but I would not go back. And they did. Same way as a job wants to call you back after you leave. It might have been 8 months after I left. I got a nice little email from the DOD. And it said, hey, this is before the news came out with it. They said, hey, by the way, since the mandate really isn't in effect anymore, we'd love to have you back. You can just have you can re-enlist with your same rate, your same rank, all this other stuff.
Oh, wow.
We would love to have you back. Our sincere regards. Here is a link to our recruiting website. Find a recruiter near you. Like, I'm going to go into the circus, after all that. I said, come on,
Right.
And again, it would be different if you didn't keep me from advancing while that period was going on. I didn't get to take any exams for advancement. You also negated my evals by lowering my score because I didn't have a vaccine. So I couldn't take the test advance. And even if I did, you were knocking me down points on my eval because I didn't have a vaccine. What is that? And who's to say when I get in, you wouldn't just flip flop and change something else again, and they're going to have a malice for these people. They're going to have a malice towards these people who said no and didn't comply. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, my answer would probably be no after that treatment. I'm proud of the service. I have nothing against the military as a whole, but you got to take in the fact that administration enabled a lot of that to happen towards the service members. And historically, yes, you got to understand your government property. Your government property at the end of the day, man. But you still got rights. You're still an American. You don't have to sit and get kicked around like a can. You know what I mean? You can still say no. You just got to take the consequences. I was willing. Even if they discharged me dishonorably, I would have been willing. Oh, well, at the end of the day, oh, well, I was 22 at the time. I can wait a year or two or whatever and get it back to other than honorable. And that wasn't going to happen. I'm going to be honest. Everybody knew that was BS. Everyone called their bluff. But yeah, and again, when it finally came out in the news and they said, oh, we're taking everybody back. And it's a good thing. President Trump now is offering, back pay, which everyone loves. Everybody loves back pay. But you still got to come back. You still got to re-enlist. You still got to go through the whole thing. I don't know.
You know where they'll send you, though, too? They'll send you right back to Gulfport.
Oh, yeah. I'd go right back to where I was because you know why? They need the men. They need the manpower and they need the bodies. And when we started, it's all about having the bodies, man. That they just want the bodies, but they want you to comply. And I wasn't as willing as others, and I wasn't in the same situation as others. So, like I said, they did take advantage of a lot of people, and they did screw a lot of people over with that. So, my answer is no. It's not a good deal. I wouldn't take that deal. I would not take that deal.
Hey, stick around. I'm gonna take you off of the stage. And I'm going to close the recording. All right. So everybody say thank you. Leave a comment for Matt. Give him a follow on his Instagram or just look him up. And all right. So I'm going to take you off now. Hold on.
All right.
Stick around. Okay. All right. Well, hold on. And record.